And now, coming to you live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, it's the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal, only on KGRA Digital Broadcasting.
Hi, and welcome to the Sheena Metal Experience on KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, Sheena Metal, and I'm a psychic medium. I'm an energetic healer. I'm an interfaith minister. I'm a 29-year talk radio host in Los Angeles and beyond. I'm a creative and a performing artist and a paranormal survivor. And I come to you from my home in Southern California every Friday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. This show is about spirituality. It's about creativity. It's about humanity. It's about passion. It's about service. It's about becoming and then being your best you in this big, beautiful world, and always inspiring others to do the same. And every week it may be my show, without a doubt, but it is always, without a doubt, your experience. My guest today is a wonderfully talented paranormal investigator, musician, author, teacher, radio and video host in his own right. And it's always such an honor to have him here. He's also the founder of a Southern California paranormal convention. Please welcome the wonderful Stefan Brigati. He is the amazing Stefan Brigati. How are you, my friend? It's good to have you here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stefan, and I'm a psychic extra large. So I'll put that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't it, it's so fun. A funny thing, I work with these YouTube influencers, and they're like 20, and they both look like Barbie. And so it's interesting what the younger generations like, because I work with them and I get all these great comments about me and how much they like me as a person, and nobody ever says anything about my weight. And every once in a while, somebody will post, she's a medium, not a medium, she's a triple extra large. And I'll go look, and it's some old guy, right? It's some old weird guy who I'm sure is not watching them for the paranormal investigations. And it's interesting how the generations have changed, right? And younger generations coming up, they're really kinder people. They really have been raised with see the insides of people more. And I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think our generation and stuff like that, we're kind of in our own defense ground. So everyone's commenting and judging everybody else. Like high school was like kind of brutal. Everyone had their little tribes and stuff, and everyone's judging everybody else's tribe.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it seems like the kids just don't care about that. They're like, no, whatever. School sucks. We're going to all have to get through it. So let's just go, And they don't have time for that little petty judgmental stuff that we used to see a lot. It's a lot different nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I always say that I'm like the Breakfast Club generation. And I think that, it was all about what group who are you? And I was very proudly like a theater geek, but oddly also an honor student, because almost none of the theater kids were honor students. But I just wanted to play the game, get out, and then go do something fun with my life. Yeah. But I didn't mind being pigeonholed in that, theater geek, choir geek, band geek category. But I know it was really hard on a lot of other people that felt like that meant they weren't cool. I think I never cared about being cool. And even now I don't. But I do think it's because, when you're a bigger person, especially when you're a woman and you're putting yourself out there on YouTube or whatever, you're going to expect there's going to be a lot of comments. The couple of situations where I've worked with a lot of younger people, I'm literally shocked. Now, like you, I joke that I'm a psychic extra large, and I probably am more like a 3 extra large. But it's different when you say it about yourself when somebody else says it, right? And so I just think it's so cool. And I think part of it, I don't know if you agree, but part of it, I think is that it's so much easier for them to be in touch with who they want to identify with their sexuality, with their gender, and also with their psychic gifts. Like they don't have to hide that anymore like we did. So how old were you when you started talking about like having gifts to other people?
Right as soon as I could talk. I was telling my parents crazy things, and they were just like, "Where is this all coming from?" My mom used to tell me stories about that. And there was times she would tell me in detail about me talking about my previous lives and stuff to them. And I'm still in a car seat in the back seat.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm telling my parents, we're crossing the country, and I'm pointing out way out in the desert, saying right over those hills, that's where we used to play. That's my people. And she's like, "What does he mean, his people? What the hell is he talking about?" But I used to be an Indian boy on a reservation. And I'm talking about how we used to play in the dry riverbeds and stuff. And it's funny because I actually have a memory from that previous life. And it was like really strange. And it's like glimpses and stuff, but I remember my final moments. I remember the moments when I was dying and I was a little kid. I got bit by a snake. And that's why I have this weird thing about snakes in this life. I'm just like,
sure.
They're beautiful, but I'm not going to go near it. I don't trust it because I got bit by a rattlesnake, got sick, rolled over, and passed out, went away,
Right,
And I think that connects to this. And it was such a fast thing that, I'm a little kid telling my parents about my people. So it's one of those things,
Yeah. Yeah. I had that too. And when I was very little, I used to dream about Victorian London.
Cool.
And, the first time I remember my mom and I were watching 1934, 36, the old Christmas Carol, the one with Reginald Owen. And it starts with like a shot over London, which was probably like models, right? Because they didn't have the helicopters then. And I said to my mom, "Oh, that's my dream place." And she said, "No, that's England in the 1800s. That's a real place." And I'm like, "Oh no, that's the place I dream about." And
Wow.
I think that was my first really indication of a past life thing, that and my obsession with Abraham Lincoln that I think we talked about when I was on your show last, kind of followed me from the earliest childhood that I could remember. And even now, if I see something that has like a Victorian element to it, like a show, I'm like, "Oh, watching that right now." I think some of your lives you let go, right, Stefan? And some hang with you. And for whatever reason, that one does not leave me.
Yeah, I think that's part of the impression that it made on you. And it's not in your mind or on your brain or anything, because that's totally separate, because we come back into these avatars and we need them to manipulate this world.
Sure.
But it makes an impression on your soul. Like you get these big marks on you, like, wow, that was an incredible experience. I have a memory from another previous life, but these are little glimpses, like nanosecond glimpses, and these are these huge impressions that kind of stick with you. Because on the other one, I was really young and I was excited for whatever was going to happen the next day. And I remember wanting to go to bed early so I can get up early, and some festival or something's going on. And that was my only memory. I remember seeing my bed, and it was jacked up looking. I mean, it was made out of wood, and it had like a tree log, and it had these leather straps that went across it. And the mattress was made of furs. I was laying on furs that we had as a comforter. It was pretty cool. But I remember these things, and it's like I knew I was super excited about it, so that must have been the impression I got from it. That moment of being super excited about tomorrow. I don't know, maybe I died that night and I didn't get to go to the party or whatever it was. That was probably a bummer, but I remember being excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? When we're little, like we think about it, like I had this reoccurring dream when I was a kid, really little kid, that I was running and a dinosaur was chasing me, or something that looked like a dinosaur.
Oh, wow.
And I'd never seen a dinosaur. I mean, I was so little that I hadn't even ever seen a dinosaur yet.
Wow.
And then I fell off the cliff. And I remember, it's how many dreams we've forgotten, right? But I remember that dream so vividly. I don't even know if, I probably wasn't a person, because people and dinosaurs didn't exist at the same time. But I was something, and I was running like hell, and this big thing was chasing me.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a memory.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
As a little kid, you wouldn't know what that is, so you wouldn't be having dreams like that. Like when you're having dreams when you're a little kid and you're older, these are flashback memories.
Right. No, they're I think they absolutely are. And like I know that we talked about a little bit about on your show about my Abraham Lincoln thing, right? And how when I was little, and this sounds so crazy, and as I say it, I know how crazy it sounds. When I was little, Abraham Lincoln would come into the living room and tell me how sad he was. I mean, I was like 4 years old. I mean, I didn't even think I knew what depression was. And I just thought he was my imaginary friend. I thought because I loved him, I had just made that up. And maybe that's true. But then, like in the 90s, they started talking about his melancholia and how he really had a problem with depression. And that made me start.
And then there was one. I am the sole survivor. Times like this are difficult. The waiting, the anticipation of what could be next. The show can continue, and I'm sure it will. But these moments of pausing and technical difficulties, they really put a lot of pressure on you when you're recording a show. I know. It's happened to me.
Oh,
it's happened now.
Hang on. I'm back. There we go.
Hey, you are.
It's so weird. Now, is it a memory or did I just make up? Did that exact same thing happen when I was talking about this on your show last time?
Yes. Remember, you just disappeared. I'm like, whoa.
In the middle of telling the Abraham Lincoln story. Isn't that the weirdest thing? Yeah, that's so weird. Again, and I think I told you this when I did your show, the phone that has no number just rang.
Yeah, and it just got really cold right here. So something's intervening.
So something is. I mean, when I was
trying to get on the show.
I mean, I think that many of my things with him were memories. Like I would go to places where, like when we went to the place where he died, I mean, I was undone. And I was a kid, right? I mean, you go to this old house, there's like 3 drops of blood on a pillow, and I'm crying like I just lost my best friend. I mean, I think they had to drag me out of that house. I'm sure the people who run that museum are like, okay, that child was weird. But I do think that we discount, right, how many things that we're drawn to that are absolutely memories and not necessarily something that has to do with this life.
That's exactly that, you know. And I think every time we do the trip, we cycle back around.
Sure.
This is what I'm gaining from it. We come down here and we do our thing. We learn some things, we make some mistakes, we move on. We finish this one cycle, you know, and then if we don't learn everything as much as we want to learn, because what we're doing is we're growing spiritually, and we're adding to ourselves a level of elevation. And you know, we always talk about the stairway to heaven, these different things. I believe of all the, and I studied multiple cultures and multiple religions for years, and I've come to this realization that the spirit's fresh, it's new, it needs to grow, it needs to be enlightened, you know. And the more enlightenment we have, the higher levels that we can continue going on to, because extreme enlightenment, it takes a lot of spiritual activity, you know, we're talking really strong. So I think each time we gain a little bit. And I used to say this to people about reincarnation and stuff. So we do this life, and then we go back up, and I was like, okay, well, here, take this with you, and you got a crate, and it's a crate, so it doesn't have a lid, but you got these things in this crate, your survival gear, and they're like, oh, you're gonna parachute back down. Here you go, and you're coming back down into this life, and I think you land hard, and a bunch of stuff falls out of your crate. So you look around, you go, oh, there's that. You put this in my crate, and I think each time we do that, we're adding more pieces into our crate to make us smarter and get a bigger enrichment of enlightenment.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I mean, I always talk to my clients sometimes about how it's sort of like the old Dungeons and Dragons game, right? You would walk the path and then you would pick up powers and things that you were going to need later. I mean, I think that's completely how it is on our life path, that we pick up different tools and experiences and gifts that we need for this life to enhance both our human life path and our spiritual life in this incarnation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just makes us stronger, and hopefully we learn something each time so we can be smarter spirit as we move on to our elevation of higher enlightenment.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. Yeah, that's so true. So when you were telling your parents these things, and I certainly had, discussions with my mom about all of this, were you telling friends about your gifts, or did that come later?
That came later. So I would talk to my parents about this kind of stuff. And I really got fortunate, I didn't realize it at the time, but as I got older, I was fortunate enough to have a mother who was really involved with the 70s rendition of the spiritualist movement, that whole haunting of Aquarius and stuff,
yep.
right?
Yep.
And I told you before, that she had different beliefs in religions and stuff. She was born a Catholic, raised in a Jewish area in New York, got into a lot of Buddhism and meditation. But the whole time she had all these white witchcraft books and reference books and all these great teachings. So as a little kid, I'm just thumbing through them, like, oh, that's interesting, that's neat. So with me telling her things, it was never a surprise. She would just go, oh, that's interesting. And when I was discovering my psychic abilities, I would always talk about little kid, and maybe it's not with everybody. Everyone's got the kind of different kind of radar happening. And mine was, it felt like something's creeping up on me. Like I have a helmet on, I got this built-in radar that's going around the whole time, and I can pick up on energy. And I would feel this feeling and my ears would do this weird thing. And I always felt like that, and I would tell it to my mom. It feels like someone's here or someone's there, or I'm feeling this over here. And she was part of this science-based thing that was happening in LA during those days. And she learned that, that means that's a spirit trying to make a connection with him. That's why he's feeling the energy. Where it's around him, it's trying to make connection with him. So he's picking up on where it's at. And like, used to tell her things like, when I would see the Indians coming up from our garage and going up the stairs into my sister's room and into the closet, Indians. And it's funny because I never thought any of this was strange. I just like, okay, cool. There's a big Indian guy. Oh, he's smiling at me. He's going upstairs. Okay. I didn't feel frightened. I used to be visited by my dead relatives a lot. I told you my first one, I was really young, was my Uncle Tommy. He was my favorite uncle. He was just crazy and always fun. And he died. And after leaving the funeral, I noticed everywhere I looked, I saw him. We drive down the road and there'd be a cool Ford Mustang. And I look at the car and I would see the person in it, and all of a sudden it's my uncle. And he's like following me as we're driving by, with his, like looking at me.
That's cool.
And I see someone else cross the street and it would be him at the light. It's like, what's going on? And he was like following us, but I was the one that was able to see him everywhere. So it was just really interesting.
Yeah. You know what? I remember seeing my grandmother at her memorial service. And I don't remember if my mom mentioned, like, do you see her? I don't remember. In my mind, I remember I saw her and then my mom and I had a discussion about it. I was 11. But I don't honestly remember now at this point, and mom is gone and I can't ask her whether or not she saw it too. But I'm pretty sure we had a talk about it and we both saw her in the back. And I remember my mom saying something like, it's so typical of your grandmother that she would come to her own memorial service and listen to what people were saying about her and then kind of laughing.
Totally. I think most people would, because I want to. I'm like, what was that? Oh, don't tell that story. That kind of stuff.
Oh, I think once I'm gone, you can tell any story you want. Just drink a lot. Have fun.
Yeah.
Drink or eat or whatever your thing is, just do it.
Most spirits are there, though. They're there, check it out. And they're with all the other relatives who are coming along, too, to check out your memorial. Like, oh, that's nice. Look at these flowers. That's really pretty. And that's why they have cemeteries are really known as memorial parks. You go back there on their birthday, on their anniversary, and then you just call them and say, hey, I'm here to celebrate you. And they come to you. That's all it takes. You're channeling to them. They're saying, "Oh, people are visiting me today. Yeah, cool." You know, that's what that was all about. So that's really cool.
But isn't it weird how people outside of the community, right, the paranormal community, they always assume that ghosts always haunt a cemetery. But the truth is, I think they're more apt to haunt places that they enjoyed as a living person.
Yeah. Why would you want to go sit there in the cemetery? And people always think, you know, because this is Hollywood, they always build that up like, oh my God, a spooky cemetery at night. Oh no. You know, there's not a lot of spirits sitting in the cemetery. You got 100 people out there. You maybe have 1 or 2 stopping by real quick. You know, it's not where the spirits go to hang out. They go to their homes where they lived. They go to the places they used to love to go. They visit family and friends on holidays. I mean, it's a common thing, but they go where they enjoy because they're still building on memories. You know, they're loving those memories.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree. Yeah, it's like some of the most haunted places are like, you know, comedy clubs, theaters, like places that people had their really good living memories, right? I had a friend that lived in the Hollywood Tower in Hollywood, and I used to go at night and feed her cat. So that's why I was booking music for my living. So I'd work a show, leave like 1 o'clock in the morning, drive by the Hollywood Tower, and they had this one little parking spot in the front. It was like a temp parking where you could drop things off, and I would park and I would walk in, and the lobby of this place would pipe in that like 1920s music, like the last scene in The Shining, you know, that kind of music.
Yeah.
And with the guy with the high tenor voice. And I would think, oh my God, this place is like, you would look up and it was like an atrium court. You could see all the different levels. And I would think, oh my God, there are people just lined up against these railings on every level. And luckily she was on the first floor, and I would like run over really quick, feed the cats, and get the hell out of there and go. But you know, how many people went and probably rented rooms there when they were like old Hollywood hopefuls, right? I'm going to come to California and make my fortune. And then, you know, then whatever befell them. So many people have killed themselves in that building. Probably like, you know, sad actors that didn't make it, or writers that just gave up and took their lives. And they're all still there, right? Because that was the place they loved.
Yep. That's why Marilyn Monroe still keeps getting seen at the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Yes, at the Hollywood Roosevelt. Yeah.
And the Roosevelt. Those 2 places, because those were her favorite places to go and get away from. She had houses out here, but sometimes she would like to go to Beverly Hills and just spend some time there at the pool with her friends.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. John Wayne is seen on his yacht. He loves that boat.
Yes, like in Balboa.
He's at the boat, so it's okay.
Yeah. Cool. John Wayne haunts Balboa.
Yeah.
Balboa Island, absolutely, 100%. As a matter of fact, when I sometimes at night, when I just want to decompress, because I live one town north of Newport Beach, I'll drive down there and take the drive down the Balboa Peninsula and go all the very way to the end where it hits the ocean and you can look across and see the island. That is one of the most haunted places. Do you know how many people probably are still there waiting for their yachting days to come back? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Plus the energy from the ocean, right? The energy from any ocean, any body of water, really. But I think especially salt water is such an intense spiritual conduit.
Absolutely. Well, salt water with the currents create a form of electronic static electricity. We know that spirits feed off static electricity. And I'm just saying feed because that means they absorb the energy.
Sure. Yes.
Somebody put me on blast one time because they say, well, I'm a psychic medium and the spirits are saying that you shouldn't say feed because they don't actually eat. I'm like, really? I'm trying to say that, you know, it's like, come on, join me in this conversation. I mean, I don't mean they're eating like nachos or something. I mean, they're absorbing energy. That's what they do.
What kind of a psychic medium would say that to you? So if I say to you, Stefan, if I say to you, narcissists feed off your energy, do I mean I think they're showing up with a knife and fork and a bottle of ketchup? Yeah. Does she not understand what energetic feeding is?
Exactly. You know, and I was like trying to explain that to her, but I always put that out now because one person out of, you know, the 100 million people that I've talked to in the past 30 years, like said something
one
about
had a problem.
Like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable, and they absorb the energy. And it's not just spirits, people do that too.
Yes.
People have energies. We give off energy, we receive energy. We're just energetic beings. Everything in this world is made of some kind of energy. Even
Right.
all the equipment's around the TVs are on, this internet's on, my candle is on. I mean, everything's giving off energy, and it transfers. It doesn't die. It just transitions into something else, just like death. When we step out of our avatar, it's kind of cold because we're not inside the meat suit anymore, and then we start experiencing all the energy in the air and stuff. We're like, oh, I'm kind of conductive. Cool. I'm going to go this way. And then you start learning the whole thing, like in the movie Ghost, where the spirit does it. Patrick Swayze has no idea what he's doing as a ghost. And then he meets the mad ghost in the subway going, dude, you're doing it all wrong. You have no body. You can't move. You got to explode your energy from the inside.
Right.
And that's when you get this grace period. You learn how to do that. You become a smarter, more active spirit to the point where you realize, oh, I could just jump up and kind of float. I don't even have to walk anymore. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna do a lot of floating. So.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. When my mom passed, so she passed at dawn. So it was just long enough for me to do the paperwork, get in the car, and drive from Newport to Huntington. I became obsessed with coming to the house and picking up all her favorite crystals and taking them to my house. It was funny. Now they're all at that house, and I want to bring them all back here. But best laid plans. So I got up, and I hadn't slept because I've been up all night with her, obviously. And my mom has now I have kind of a steep driveway. And so, have you ever been like standing in a line and you take a step backwards and the person behind you takes a step forward and you bump into each other? So I was walking up her driveway and I kind of misstep a little bit and stepped backwards, and she moved right through me. And then we both kind of scared the crap out of each other and jumped back. I think she was just learning where her energetic boundaries were. She'd been dead like 45 minutes. And I think she was trying to figure out what was what,
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree about that. And then when they step out, they're trying to figure out what's going on. It gets really confusing.
Yeah.
Like my dad was in my car like for a week after he passed. And I found out because quick story. So me and my daughter, we're going to Walmart. It's Walmart's parking lots are always crazy. No one is going to drive in a Walmart parking lot apparently. So I'm pulling in and I feel a cart. There's like a cart that I didn't see right there. So I tap it in the back of my car. And I hear my dad in the back of and I have a rabbit. So if someone's speaking in the back seat, it's right there. And I hear this, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, what the hell? And my daughter's looking around and I'm looking around to see if there's somebody outside. And I'm like, wait a second. Then I realize it's my dad. And I turn around and go, Dad, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be flying. Remember, you're going to go chase giraffes and stuff. You're going to go to Africa.
Was that?
And it was just weird because it was definitely my dad. Like, what are you doing in the back seat? You have the opportunity to go do whatever you want right now.
Right.
Yeah. And then he finally figured it out and took off. But it's like, they'll just hang out with us until they figure out what they're doing. It's just one of those things.
Right. Maybe he just wanted to be close. I mean, my mind followed me. I mean, literally followed me for, I don't know, 3 months. 3 months we were inseparable. And then she started to come in. If I need her, she'll come. But I think she got involved in what she was doing there. And spirits don't need to hang out with you all day long. Like, they got their own stuff to do. It's not like you go there and you're like in a black void or you're just sitting on a cloud and you're bored. Like, there's a lot to do there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They have their own jobs to do once they go home. They've got their own service to do there.
Yeah. And there's a billion more people. There's way more people on the other side than there is here.
Right.
There's so much, the whole expanse of, we talk about, the other side, but people don't realize how massive and expansive the other side is, because I think on the other side of the other side, there's even more other side. There's so many things going on.
Right.
The earthly dirt ball that we're on is really, really small, and we're really tiny. So when we go through this, we transcend into something much bigger.
Right.
I think it's mind blowing because everything you can possibly imagine is there. Anything you want to do, you can go do. I mean, you just gotta figure it out and say, this is what I want, and then just kind of channel it, and there it is. You know, you can. I know people who have died and passed over, and they describe these amazing things, and they're like, I felt so good, and I just, if I wanted this, it would just happen. I walked this one scene by the beach, and all of a sudden we're in like a forest area. There's like a big landscape, and there's a lake and green grass and this beautiful place, and they said it was mine. I'm like, that's awesome. I want a cool place by the lake. Why not? But you just have to want it, and everything comes to you. Like literally, all your dreams will come true.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, very, very true. Yeah. And do you believe that first of all, do you believe in biological life on other planets, not other dimensions, but actually other places where there are living beings?
Yes.
Do you think that sometimes we reincarnate there and they reincarnate here? Or do you think we all have our own like soul school that we go to and we just reincarnate at our school?
I think the basis of the spirit being between us and all living beings are relatively the same. I think we turn into whatever body it is, wherever they're going, wherever they're at. You know, we all kind of link together. That's why there's so many of these stories about paranormal, spiritual stuff, and all of a sudden there's alien spirits. They're talking to you. We did this ritual, and there's the glass skull, and aliens are telling us this, and it's going to be okay, and enlightenment, and all this stuff. So I think it all connects together. I know a lot of the religious books say, well, we're definitely designed in a certain way. It's like, yes, but let's not misinterpret that.
Right.
If we're all made in God's image and we're people, does that mean we're in the image of the avatar that we're in, or are we in the image of the soul when we leave the avatar?
Right.
Because God is not just some body with, not some man sitting on a marble throne made of gold, and he's got a long beard and a robe and Birkenstocks on, and saying, hey, everyone, listen to me, I'm going to throw lightning bolts at you. No. God is this massive, enveloping being that gives love and positivity to everything, regardless of what religion people believe in.
Yes.
It's just a massive force. And we're a little tiny, itty bitty little piece of this force. And we go back to the center where we came from. Eventually, we can find our way.
Isn't it funny how human beings are so focused on earthbound things, right? When they want you to contact their people in the beyond, it's always like, well, what are they wearing? And how does their hair look? And trying to explain to them that when you reincarnate, when you transition into the beyond, you're no longer like, I don't look like this. I look like energy, and you look like energy, and that having a body is an incarnate concept.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll send me a signature of what they look like to tell you, but they don't look like that anymore. And I think sometimes people get really disappointed. They're like, oh, I wanted grandma to look like grandma. And I'm thinking, but grandma from when? Because grandma was like, from a fetus to the last day she lived on the earth. Like, which grandma do you want to see?
Yes. And they can want that and everything. I get it. But spirits show themselves the way they remember themselves best.
Yes.
Those golden moments. Being a paranormal investigator, one thing that caught my attention over the years is when we're getting these amazing photographs of spirits.
Right.
Now, this one that really caught my attention that my spirit photographer, Tara Mead, we had this practice house we used to work at, and we were doing experiments over new equipment and trying different stuff. And it was her mother's house, and her mother passed away. And Tara got this trap cam. We set it up, and we're trying to get the house cleaned out and ready to go back on the market, doing all this stuff. So obviously, mom's passed. But we got a picture of the mom. Now, what blew me away was there's the older daughter and the younger daughter. The younger daughter was running around the kitchen saying, Noni, Noni, calling for her grandma, right? And then the little sister the bigger sister came in and said, what are you doing? And she's trying to put her arm out there. And the camera went off because they were moving. Well, in between both daughters is grandma, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And it blew me away because first thing I noticed is, well, besides you can't see her legs. Her legs kind of come down and you can't see they fade out. But it's so crystal clear. But she's wearing the nightgown that she had on in the hospital. And she had cancer, so she had really, really short hair, and she was wearing glasses. And I thought, what's going on in this picture? Why is she showing herself? She's dead. She doesn't have to be like that. She's showing herself like she was in the hospital, which was recent. But the death was so soon that she's showing herself as she remembered seeing herself recently. It's like, okay. And then time goes on. They start changing their look. They start developing how they present themselves. Another good example is Sharon Tate and my friend David Oman's house.
Right. Sure.
So I'm one of the first guys to go there and start doing that stuff with David after the Berries and a bunch of other people went there. I started working with him on it, and it's me and Mark Nelson were doing a lot of work there. And Sharon would talk to us, and she would be telling you stories, and she would like a lot of sorrow, and she's worried about the baby. She was always talking about worrying about Roman Polanski and all this stuff in details. I had big dreams. I was going to do this with my life. I was going to do that with life. It's really sad because I love her.
She was so close. I mean, she was so close to having everything she wanted.
She was going to blow up. She was going to be so huge. Amazing.
Yes.
And then a couple of years go by, maybe 4 years, and we're always there. And we start talking to her like always. And this time she goes, it's okay. It's okay. I'm beautiful again. I'm myself again. Because when people would see her at the house before that, Sharon would be in her white nightgown covered in blood, and she'd like show herself in the demise. But now that we're going back, she learned to heal herself. And all of a sudden she's like, I'm okay. I'm beautiful again. Blah, blah, blah. And you just feel the energy rising because she's so happy. She's coming to grips with it. And it's like, I love Sharon. I spent a lot of time with her. I went and visited her recently. And it's just, that's what they're doing. They're going from one step and they're learning about the next step.
Yes.
And they heal themselves. They let that energy go.
Yes.
And they go back to where they were, and they're just happy again. I think that's what we all need to do. Leave all the garbage behind. Let's just move forward and joy and love and peace,
Yes. Yeah, I spent a lot of time at David's house. He's going to be here again in a couple of weeks, and I'm due to go up there again. We should go up there together sometime. It would be fun.
He hits me up like weekly. He's like, what are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, me too. When are you coming up here? When are you coming up here to do something? Me too. We should set a date and go together. It'd be fun.
I did a shoot there for a TV show, and we did a quick thing over there, and he had so much fun. He kept calling me the next day. He's like, dude, you guys got to come back again. I'll barbecue again, because it's always worth it when he barbecues. He's amazing.
Oh yeah, I've not had the barbecue. Oddly enough, I had pizza.
Oh.
He's made pizza a lot when I was there.
He used to have his own show on barbecuing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, get him to barbecue. That's the only reason. That's the only way I'm going to go up there. I'm like, okay, I'll come up, but I got to have.
We'll plan a barbecue day and we'll go. It'll be fun because I've had some great stuff happen there. I think it's such an interesting place, and he and I've had I think he wants me to come back because we've had so much stuff happens every time I'm there. But yeah, I agree. But one time I always tell the story that when the first time I ever went there and I wasn't familiar with the street. When I was leaving, I went down towards the Tate LaBianca house. I didn't know that. I thought there would be like a cul-de-sac where I could turn around. And I got to all of a sudden, this gate is like in front of me, and there's literally nowhere to turn around. It's a straight, like a driveway kind of almost. And you have to like kind of inch to do a 3-point turn to get out of there. And the energy, I don't know how anybody could live on that property. I mean, David's house is active enough, but the energy coming back from the other side of that gate, I never did a 3-point turn and got the hell out of somewhere so fast in my life. It was a lot. And it was almost like the kind of feeling you get at Gettysburg, right? Where there's just this innate sadness that happens somewhere, and the energy of that sadness continues. I don't know how someone lives there.
Yeah, it's tough, and there's a lot of things leading to why David's house is so haunted.
Oh yes.
Well, do you know how he designed it and built it?
I know that his father built it for him, and they didn't know what the street was when they built it.
So, Celio Drive in Benedict Canyon itself is a ley line. There is a crystal quartz layer that runs through that hill. Now,
and his father knew that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So it's deeply embedded with limestone and sandstone. Of course, it's California.
Right.
Most of our hills have that layer. For stability of building the house, they use these massive iron girders.
Wow.
For those of you who know about science, and that's the stuff that I teach, iron cutting through a quartz layer and has limestone and sandstone on both sides of the iron girder. Well, that creates a battery. That is a battery. So he built this big square house on the side of the hill going down, and they basically designed and built a battery. So all the spirits, energies that are going by, and that's not just the ones on Celio Drive. There's ones across the canyon that you can see.
Oh, yes.
Those spirits show up too, because his house is now blinking with energy and giving off a pulse. And all the spirits going by are seeing this pulse, and just like being a psychic, on the inside, you're glowing. You're giving off this beacon, and spirits come to you because they're like, oh, look at that over there. Let's go check that out. David's house is now that. So all the spirits, all the Indian spirits that died in the massacre at the bottom of Benedict Canyon, because there was actually an Indian-Spanish battle right there. There was a slaughter that happened. There's a memorial down there. Those spirits see that blinking light, and they start heading up the hill. David's house has a bunch of celebrities, a bunch of Indians.
Yes.
He's got Rudolph Valentino there. He's got Jay Sebring. He's got he's got a big collection of his favorite boxer, and he's been seen there.
There's a boxer there too. I was just going to say,
love the champ. I used to call him that all the time, and he used to always talk to us. And we got an EVP of him saying, "Hey, check out my new moves."
Yeah.
So he's up there like doing his thing. Jack Johnson had all his stuff there, so it's like incredible.
Yeah.
So David's house is a big spiritual party house. I've gone there multiple times, and we'll be talking, just hanging out. And all of a sudden, the house intercom comes on, and there's like, I think it's Abigail Folger starts singing. She's like singing through the house and stuff. I was like, really? What the hell's going on right now?
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. If you haven't been there, it's amazing. I think I told you this when I did your show last week, that I just interviewed Dr. Barry Taff again after a while. And he was talking about how he had to like break himself from going there because he almost became addicted to it. And he was just going back and back and back and having more and more experiences. And I think was developing sort of this, obsessive relationship with the house. And that can happen. I've seen people develop that with their own homes when they're haunted, where they just can't stop the cycle, of they can't get away from it. You would think with him being a parapsychologist and all the cases he's worked on, right? The entity case and the San Pedro haunting, you would think he would be used to it. But I think sometimes you meet a place that gets under your skin and you have to be very careful.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. People fall in love with these haunted places. I fall in love with almost everyone that I go to.
Me too, yeah.
It's cool, but you have to be careful about yourself because it's energy. You're being drawn in like a magnet to this thing over and over again. And as far as houses go, people's private houses they live in, I just give people a little bit of warning because of that. It's your house. You need to rest.
Exactly.
Your spirits that you live with, they're your family and friends, and most of them are family and friends. I live in a haunted house. I have a 5-bedroom house, and I have 8 spirits living in here besides me, my daughter, and my wife. But I don't try to get them all hyped up on all the gear and all the spirit boxes because they want to do that stuff all the time. Your house is a place of rest. So my spirits want to come visit and say hi and then go rest. That's awesome. But you can start developing this thing where you're coming home after work and you're breaking up the spirit box, you're running around your house and somebody in this closet. I mean, you want to have a place where you can just get away from all that. So
yes, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I was just telling somebody this on my psychic show that I filmed right before this, that I remember one of the episodes, one of the paranormal shows where they went to this woman's house and she had like a moving box size full of tiny little digital tapes. And she was just sitting in her kitchen all day long doing EVPs, like 10, 15 hours a day. And she'd become like addicted to talking to them. And, you know, spirits have a lot of time. They'll just sit around and talk to you all day if that's what you want, because they got nothing else to do. They don't have to like work and pay jobs and take care of their kids. They're like, I'll sit here all day long, just tell you stories about the Civil War if that's what you want. So you have to watch getting too sucked into it. And I never do anything in my house like spirit box or Ouija board or pendulum, or all that stuff is reserved for when I go somewhere else. I'll come to your house and do that. But, you know, my house is on an Indian burial ground. So, you know, y'all come. And so, yeah, I have a lot of salt lamps. I have selenite wands and towers in every room. I have black tourmaline in every room. I have brooms for protection in every room. And it keeps everything at bay so the cat and I can live a tranquil life. But people that are like, oh, yeah, every night I do spirit board in my house. And I'm like, oh, my God. Okay. Enjoy the chaos.
Yeah, it's too much. All of a sudden, you opened yourself up to a big spirit party house. Yay, good for you. Like,
exactly. Then you don't know how to shut that door.
Yeah, exactly. Like all that stuff that I do, I'll do in this room, this office, when I'm doing my classes, when I'm teaching at the university.
Right.
I do a lot of stuff in here. I try to keep that energy contained in here, because this is the most chaotic room. I mean, crazy things happen when I'm doing my private lessons and stuff. It's chaos. I mean, this is Abby right here, and she pretty much dominates this room.
Wow.
Yeah, this right here. And she wasn't spirited when I got her. She became spirited. And then I learned a little bit more about her, and we made a connection. And like, she pretty much holds it down and keeps everybody at bay.
Nice. Okay.
Very friendly. But like I said, I have like 8 family members on my wife's side that run through. My mom shows up here. My dad shows up here sometimes. Her dad will show up, uncles, her sister, and her sister's fiance who passed away. We've caught them in this room. You know, we surprise them and put on the SLS camera, and like one's laying on the couch over here, and the other one's in the closet trying to pull the other one off the couch. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You know, so I try to keep it contained in this room. I have all my crystals and all my boundary set, my tower candles, everything I got going on. So they know this is it, you know. But I try not to do it because I need to get rest. I got to go in my rooms and sleep. You know, I've had to kick spirits out of my bedroom before because they figured, oh, well, they're passing out in the living room, so let's just take over the bedroom. And I'll go in there with my SOS camera, like, hey, get off of there. And all of a sudden they like flash out. And I'm like, yeah, you guys got to stay out. Everybody in here has got to go. I'll see you guys in the morning, whatever. You know, got to stay on my ground.
I do the same thing. I just flat out say you're not welcome here to have contact with me. If you want to be here and I don't know you're here, all right. But if you're making yourself known, you got to go, because I lived in a haunted house as a child and I don't want to live that life again. So I don't want you knocking on the walls and scratching inside the walls and walking up and down the upstairs hall. No, thank you. If you can be quiet and coexist here, we're good. But I don't want to be freaked out every 5 minutes in my own house. It's funny, I don't get freaked out in other people's houses. Investigating, I barely even get scared. Tonight I'm going to after I leave here, I'm going to the scariest house in my town, and it's haunted as heck, and we're going to go in there and do all kinds of stuff. I don't even worry about it. I am exhausted for days afterwards because that place is so draining. But I don't want it in my home, and you're not welcome here. This place is very, very calm and very peaceful, and we keep it this way.
Yep, that's what you got to do. You got to lay your boundaries down, and hope you have fun tonight. That's going to be awesome. As long as you have fun and enjoy the spirits will like enjoy themselves.
And you know, it's funny because my spirit nephew and his wife got married in England last year, and they did their American reception there last month. And so all these people that aren't normally there were in that house helping out, and they're like, "What is up with that house?" And I'm like, It's totally haunted. It's completely haunted, but it's fun. It's fun that it's there. It's fun. It's not occupied. It's like a museum, and it's fun that it's haunted, and I love to be there. But when the same my same YouTube friends say to me, "Oh, can we come to your house?" I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, I've worked very carefully to calm all of this down, and we're not going to open it all up again. This is a place of mellow now, because I need to be able to sleep and feel calm. Because as a psychic medium, right? There's so much going on all the time with spirits. You need a place where you can decompress and just be yourself and not have to be like on duty all the time.
Yeah. You got to have your own personal space, and they have to understand that and respect that, because you're not invading their territory, and you let them know, say, hey, I got to go to sleep, I got to do this.
You bet.
I'm always, when I walk through the house and I'm picking up on a presence, I always say that, like, hey man, I got to go, blah blah blah. If they start moving stuff, I get pissed off at them. I mean, if they're being helpful, it's all great.
Yeah.
But there's times I'm sitting there in my cozy chair and I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden the sink will turn on.
Yep.
And I was like, really?
Yep.
Yep. What the hell are you doing?
I know
and I go over there and I turn it off, and I start yelling at them. But I'm like, all right, just for testing it out, turn it on again. I'll stand over here, turn it back on, and they'll turn it back on. And I'll say, okay, turn it off, and they won't turn it off. And then I've had to have a full-on lecture. Okay, all the spirits in the house, get over here. Hey, don't be turning this stuff off. I pay this bill. You don't pay this bill. If you can't turn it off, don't be turning it on. So it doesn't do it around me at all anymore. It does it in front of my daughter sometimes, and she gets mad at it too. She's like, this stupid thing. And well, yeah, you just tell them they're not paying for it. It'd be different if they did, but they're not. So they can't be playing with the stuff.
That's awesome. You are awesome, my friend. Will you come back and let's do this again? I would love it.
Absolutely.
And I see some Omen House in our future.
Probably. He keeps hitting me. It's the season. He wanted me to come do a live feed last week, but I had a bunch of shows. And I couldn't get away. It's like, dude, I think
he sends you a text, then he sends me a text, then he sends you a text. So I think we should kill two birds with one stone and just go do it.
Yeah, I'm down.
You're the best, my friend. Where can people find you online and find out all about you?
All right. You guys can find about me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X. I'm on every platform there is. You can follow me on YouTube. You can follow my show, My Darkest Hour, on Live Paranormal, iHeartRadio. And you can find videos from all the interviews that I do on my YouTube channel as well, under My Darkest Hour, or just follow me, Stefan Brigati.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here, my friend. Thanks to the wonderful Stefan Brigati, and thank you to KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We're here every Friday at 3:00 Pacific time. I'm at SheenaMetalSpiritual.com for all of your spiritual, psychic, and entertainment needs. Go there and learn more about me. I would love that. And until I see you next time, seek peace, live in love, lead with kindness, embrace unity, always work to raise your vibration, and know that you are loved and you are loved, and you're so loved by me. I'm Sheena Metal. This is the Sheena Metal Experience, and I'll see you next week. Take care of you.